Checking in from Duns to Oxfordshire, England. What a brilliantly blue and green day. It looks like a painting in the background. Is that the sun? Just flipping the camera on here to talk about freedom. What does freedom mean to me? Freedom to me means the ability for me to choose to live my life a certain way, and it also means the ability to feel my emotions and speak the language of my emotions. So to be really free is to understand the language of emotions to me. And what does that mean? Well, if I slow down and say the obvious of what I'm feeling, then there is information hidden in that. Now, it takes a great deal of being still and present with those emotions to be able to even identify them. And then still, it takes even greater ability and patience to sit still long enough to hear what they're whispering, what those emotions are saying. And the language of emotion is not, when we think of language, we think of words, but that's not necessarily true. A language is communication. We have been so trained, our minds have been so trained to think that communication means words, but it doesn't necessarily. So how do emotions communicate then if it's not through words? Well, we receive them through words, but it goes through a bit of a portal, if you will, or like a code, a deciphering. So the language of emotion is sensation. I feel a certain way. So we already know this to be true because of the words that we use. But feeling is not the same as, you can describe a feeling to somebody, but unless they feel it, they can't really truly know what you're talking about. I might be able to relate to that person out of some experience that I've already had, but words fall short of describing emotion, a feeling. So what does that tell us? That tells us that we need to feel to know. And that's the language of emotion. So feeling to know. A lot of our feeling in today's society is numbed with alcohol or food or some sort of pleasure. We want, it's very easy, it's very accessible. It's never been more accessible in our lives. And that can be a blessing and a curse, because the curse is being separated from the sensations that are natural to us. We look for these synthetic versions by taking pills or consuming blank, right? And whenever we feed ourselves, introduces a new sensation of sensation, feeling. So we already have a natural, like if you fasted and you didn't consume something or anything, you would, that's why people fast a lot of times, is to feel the sensations, to speak the language of the body. So to loop this all together, why would I even want to do that? Why would I want to give up the pleasures? Pleasures are great. Well, because they're short term and they're not sustainable. And whenever I get or achieve or receive a pleasure, it's just a matter of time, and it's oftentimes a very short time before I want another one. And that is not being free to me, to bring it back to the original intention. I'm not free if I constantly need pleasure, consumption. I can't say that word as fast, so that's why I didn't say it first. But I want to get out of that game. Not that I never want to consume, but I never want to need to consume to feel good. So what I've discovered is that there's this whole world of emotions, of feelings, of sensation that are kind of in the way. They feel like a nuisance to me feeling good. But if I commit to this game, which I have been, of feeling through what's been blocking me from feeling good, then I address all those things. And that's where you really get to know yourself. And that's why this international journey I've been on has been rewarding. I don't know, grace is the word I would use, because it hasn't been all sunshine and rainbows. But to get to know yourself is to remove all the layers of toxicity that I've normally fed myself, or I've habitually fed myself, so that I don't have to feel these things. So I get closer to freedom every day when I feel through my sensations, when I understand where they come from, and when I make the choice to sit and to be with them when there's other pleasure temptations around me. And it's not that I'm living this monastic lifestyle and starving myself of pleasure, but I'm finding pleasure in the simplest of things. Look at this. I'm in a cow field right now. There's cows over there. They were looking at me weird when I walked into this field. But yeah, one last point that I want to make is what I've begun to discover in my presence, in my seeking of these emotions, is that you start to learn the nature of reality. It sounds like a big thing to say, but the universe will give us situations so that we feel certain emotions, and that is the ultimate trap in removal of freedom. Is that if I keep experiencing this, it's like the Truman Show. I keep experiencing, well, more like Groundhog's Day, I suppose, but experiencing the same thing over and over and over again. Even if it's new characters and new settings, I'm not actually free. I'm just doomed to repeat the same situation so that the same emotion can be stirred inside of me. It actually works the opposite if you want to get really technical about it. The emotion is what creates the situation. You project the emotions that you're not feeling in your body. And because they're undealt with, you're operating with that vibration, that frequency when you go out into the world. And so therefore you create these experiences that stir that emotion within you. So what I'm saying is that when you start to pay attention to this, you pay attention to the emotion, you track it, and you can see where it came from. Every emotion has a source, all right? And so if you're feeling a sense of sadness or anger, if somebody cuts me off in traffic, well, get really into the details of what actually pissed you off. Was it a lack of respect? Was it an unawareness? I have discovered about myself, I judge people who are unaware, who just go about the world and don't care how it affects other people. And if somebody cuts me off in the lane, it's not so much that it's a lack of respect, although it's probably a little bit of that too, but it's their unawareness. How could you not know that you just inconvenienced my life? Well, that pattern can be traced back to somewhere, and I want to know where that came from. Because as soon as I revisit that source, and it's often in childhood, then I can eliminate it. Then people stop cutting me off because I don't need to feel that sensation of inconvenience and anger anymore. You may doubt this, but I've had countless experiences over and over and over and over and over again where this is the case. And so this is the game that I want to play. Is to root out every time where I have an emotion that feels a bit undesirable. It's anger, sadness, fear. And because I have the intention, if I address all of those things at their source, then I will live a non-fear, non-anger, non-sadness life. Or at least have the choice to establish when it's appropriate to be those things, instead of having situations thrown at me where I'm sort of forced to be in that. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. Even if it doesn't, that's okay too. To make a commitment to this lifestyle is to separate yourself from myself from the way that most people live their lives. And I'm not that's not trying to gain your empathy or anything like that, but it's empowering. It's a choice to be made that not everybody will make. Not everybody is even aware that it's a choice, but sort of like the Matrix reference, as soon as you take that pill, you see just how deep it goes. So I'm in deep. I'm in the cow's field, but I'm learning to enjoy all of the exploration. I mean, look at that, just cool nature, cool cloud stuff and sun and cow pastures. So until next time, over and out.